Hello, it's Mark here for GAK, and today we are looking at the range of Boss loopers. So we're looking at the RC1, the RC3, the RC30, the RC10R, and the RC300, which is here. We're not going to highlight every fine detail. For example, the RC300 is super in-depth and requires its own video on its own, which we may do. But we are going to highlight the main features and look at each one individually and why you may pick one over the other. So kicking off with the RC1, now the observant of you will see that the pedal I have is actually a superimposed CGI pedal, because I don't actually have one here, and we've sold out. They're so popular. So I've got a CGI one on the table. These are the entry-level ones. They're coming at around £80–90. They would be your starter loopers. Saying that, if you're just after a live looper that records one track and you just want, and that's all you need, then this is ideal and you don't need to spend any more money. This actually came out after the RC3 and the RC30. Hence why it looks a little bit more modern. So if I highlight some features on the RC1, all of these features then apply to the rest of them. So I won't need to keep repeating myself. You know, what you get on the RC1 is on the RC3, 30, 10R and 300. So the way it works with Boss loopers is the light system. When it's red, it's recording. When it's red and green, you're overlaying a track. And then when it's green, it's just playing back. So you're not actually recording. You're not putting anything down. So that's red, it's just recording. When it's green and red, your track is playing back and you're overlaying a new track. And then when it's just green, it's just playing back. And you can solo over it, and that's great, but it's not recording anything that you're playing. We have a volume control, which adjusts the playback of your loop. Very simple. We've got a stereo operation running. You can plug in a foot switch, which is lovely. As you know, Boss have ridiculously sturdy chassis. We've run one over with a truck. I'll put that link in the description box below. And it survived. That was a tuner. In fact, I think it could have been this one we ran over with a truck. I'll link that and you can see. A good thing to know about Boss loopers is if you want to undo the track you've just recorded, you just put your foot on it once and hold it down, and that will remove the last thing that you've put down. And that's just an interesting thing to know, a useful thing to know. I shouldn't really mention the negatives of the RC1. A reason why you might want to step it up is that the RC1 has no memory banks. So you can live record, you can live loop, but there's no way of storing loops, which some people are going to want to do. And this is the kind of thing about all of these loopers. They are there for different reasons, and that's why they all have different purposes. So if you want to just go and play, you want a live loop, one track, no memory banks, and that for a lot of people that's all you need. I've got one of these at home, and that's really pretty much all I need. The RC1 is your bag. If not, if you want something that has memory banks, you want to step it up to the RC3. Now, the RC3 is coming in at around £120. Obviously, all these prices may change, but rough areas. So it's a little bit more. But what you get with that, and it's got all the same features. It's got all the same features as the RC1. But the two things that are different is you have 99 memory slots or banks. So you can put down 99 different loops, different places to store those loops, which is super useful. And also, the other thing that it does have is rhythms. Now, I'm not saying they're the best rhythms in the world, but it has rhythms. And on the volume control, basically, the outer one adjusts your level, and the inner one adjusts the rhythm playback. It does have a tap tempo, which is super useful. Also, extra features, it has aux in, so if you want to load in jams to jam to, and also the USB, allowing you to export your things or your loops onto the computer, or vice versa. So that is the RC3. Again, all depends what you need it for. RC1, RC3. You've got to make this decision yourself. Now, stepping it up, we are moving on to the RC30. As I said, as we're kind of stepping it up, all the features that are on the more affordable options are on the higher tier. So everything on these is on here within reason. There may be the odd difference, But this is next level. So this is a 2-track looper. Now, I've seen people ask, can you have the rhythms independent? Can you have like an 8-bar loop on track 1 and then a 16-bar loop on track 2? Unfortunately not. You have to go up to the RC300 for that. So you are fixed in with the same loops. There may be other loopers out there, and I'm sure there is, where you can do that. You can do that on the 300, but on the 30 you have to have the same bars, the same amount of bars in both of your loops. But what this does do is this allows you to plug in an XLR cable. So this is ideal for singer-songwriters, or just singers maybe. So you can plug in your guitar, you can plug in your vocals, and you can jam away. And that's who this is going to suit. This is going to suit your singer, your live performer, who wants to sing and play guitar. Or you can maybe assign those 2 tracks to like a verse and a chorus and do it that way. So it gives you more freedom. This also has effects. You're going to get your delay, your reverb, those kind of things. And the cool thing about the effects is that they are applied real time. So they're not overlaid on everything. They are applied on everything you're recording in real time. This also has rhythms, which is super useful. As I said, many of these have a lot more features that we could delve into, which we're not going to because we're just focusing on what makes them unique and why you might pick one over the other. RC30 is coming in at around 160, 170. So that they're stepping up in price. But again, it all depends what you want these for. At the end, we'll go through them and we'll just quickly smash out why you may pick one over the other. Moving on to the newest looper, the RC10R. This has been out 6 months, a year. That could be totally wrong, but it's the newest in the range. It hasn't been out a great amount of time, and they've changed up the pedal chassis. The whole looks different. Similar to the RC1 in terms of the lights being looped, but just 2 of them. As I said, the RC1 came after the RC3 and the 30, so these should look more old school than these 2. Now, this is coming in at around 230, 240. It's a lot newer, understandable. Now it has all or many of the same features as these ones, but big differences between the RC30 and the RC10R is there's no effects on it and there's no XLR on it. However, what there is on it is really, really good drum loops or drum rhythms for you to play along with. Like you could plug in a bass, a guitar, use one of the drum loops and have a pretty good sounding jam with yourself. Still has the memory banks, still has the tap tempo and all the other stuff. But you can go on the page and read the specs if you want to know exactly what it has. You also might be into the design of it more. You've got the volume knobs. Everything looks a bit more shiny. If you can hear that. It's got a nice little click to it, which these don't have. Again, it's all down to preference. Now, the RC300, which is here, which I don't know if I didn't really know how to put that on the table. And it's super, it's a bit dusty actually, but I've used this a lot over the years. In fact, I've used them all a lot over the years. This does have its purposes, and it is huge, and you're probably not going to put that on your pedal board unless you are specifically looping. The main reason you would buy this or maybe choose this over the others is because you can set each loop to have a different amount of bars. So you could have 16 bars, 4 bars, 2 bars. So each of your loops can have a different phrasing, different time signature, which is, I mean, ridiculously useful if you do a lot of looping. That is one constraint and restriction that you often come across. Now, I'm not going to go into the RC300, in fact, at all. I think that is a video we will do in the future because there's just too much involved in it. But it has everything that the other ones have. You've got an absolute array of inputs and outputs. Obviously XLR, you've got effects, you've got an effects expression control, you've got individual volumes for the each track, so you could kind of live mix it if you wanted to. Master control, you've got the rhythms, you've got the tap tempo, as I said, big advantages is that each track can have its own time signature, it can run independently on its own. You can also choose each track to come in at a particular time, or you can have it come in when you start playing, or it can come independently. Really is, you have 3 tracks and you can independently do what you want with them. They really are interchangeable, and you know, anything you can imagine you can do. Now I hope that made sense. There are a ton of loopers on the market. You know, you've got Ditto, TT Electronic. What was the one I looked at the other day? You could change like the speed and you could reverse it. That was MXR. There's a whole bunch, but I started off with Boss loopers, and they are Boss pedals in general. For me, are one of the best out there. They are, as I said, we ran this one over with a forklift truck, and it survived and it still works, and we still use it. They are. I think someone told me they do the million stomp test. So before any Boss pedal gets pushed out, they stomp on it 1 million times, and then they sell it. Maybe that's not true. I don't know. Let me know in the comments box below if that is true. So as I said, we'll quickly go through them. RC1, affordable. You know, it's coming in super cheap. If you just want one looper that has one track, no memory banks, you just play live, you just record over it. That's the one you want. RC3 has all the same stuff that the RC1 has, but you have 99 memory slots, memory banks, and also you have some basic rhythms. RC30, big advantage, you have an XLR input and you have 2 tracks. Now, as I said, both tracks have to run in sequence with each other. You can't have different bars, different times. But this is going to suit a singer-songwriter, or if you want to assign those tracks so it's like verse and chorus, you can do it that way. But you can plug in a guitar and a vocal, or a piano and a guitar, if you can somehow magically play both. And that's just kind of you're stepping up to the next level. If you want to be performing and you need 2 instruments, that's your bag. Also, not forgetting that it has effects, you know, delays and reverbs. Moving on to the RC10R, the new chassis, the newest pedal in the range. Very similar to the RC30, it has 2 inputs, but the big thing about this is it has really good drum loops. So you can plug in a guitar and a bass, jam along to the drum loops, and you've got a really good sounding track, because those drums really are up there compared to some of the other rhythms in the other pedals. I think there's about 50 different drum loops, which is a huge amount to sit down and jam with and come up with tracks. And you can export and import drums as you see fit. There is a USB slot. And then for the big bad boy, the big beastly, serious loopers out there. I'm not saying that you can't do serious stuff on this, because you definitely can. But if you want independent access to each 3 of these tracks having a different time signature. Sorry, I keep focusing on that one, but for me that's a big thing. If you want to be jamming along, but you want to have that much control, a bit more control over your loops, plus all the other features, plus like expression pedals, an expression pedal for the effects. The RC300 is the beast, and all of those inputs as well. But you will pay for it. That is a basic look, a very quick look at the loopers from Boss, the RC1, the RC3, the RC30, the RC10R, and the RC300. Now, I would love to know what you think. I'm sure a lot of you have comments about all of these. If I've got anything wrong, let me know. I don't think I have. I think everything was correct. Again, I'm sure you will let me know if it's not. But I'd love to know your thoughts. What are your thoughts on them? What do you like? What do you use? What don't you like? What are the advantages? What are the disadvantages? Let me know in the comments box below. If this has been informative, if you have enjoyed it, hit the thumbs up, give it a like. If you haven't already, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, and I will see you very soon.